Hello, hello to all the YouTube people out there. Hope everybody is doing well. I hope that I'm actually alive. I think that I am. It says that I am. All right, guys. I've upgraded to fiber internet. So regardless of what Brad, the comeback card investor, says, I'm good to go. I'm in good shape. Although I did get a kind of a spazzy haircut the other day where they literally just kind of shaved everything off on one side. So I'm still dealing with that. But other than that, a pretty good week so far. But thanks everyone who has joined us. I've got Flippin' Steve back on the show again tonight, one of my regulars. We're just going to catch up on stuff. Honestly, I haven't been able to really talk with Steve in a little bit. We text here and there and stuff about cards and different things we're getting, but this is the first time we've done a live in a little bit. So I'm excited for this one. I will go ahead and bring him on. If you are new to Flipping Steve's channel, definitely check out his channel. He's a bucket of wisdom, as you'll see tonight. And we'll go ahead and bring Steve out from behind the curtain.
Hey, what's up?
There he is. What's up, man?
What's going on, man? What's up?
Steve joined like 30 seconds ago, so I haven't even had a chance to say hi.
But, hey, man, I was sitting in backstage in the studio, not realizing I had to click enter studio. I've been here since you messaged me and said I'll be on, and yeah, just trying to work on this bright light because I'm looking really ghostly. That's why I got the sunglasses, just to keep myself from blinding myself.
I think you should wear that the whole time.
But yeah, I don't have the nice fresh cut. Well, I shave my head every day, but you got the nice new cut going on. I wish I could style and profile a little bit like that.
Dude, actually, with the Pearl Jam hat with the glasses, I feel like that should be your look.
I'm not Pearl Jamming it tonight. This is actually a local surf shop near where I live. But
okay.
I was Pearl Jamming it last night, so these are actually like Elvis sunglasses with the holes down the side.
You could actually pull that look off.
Yeah.
So what's going on, man? How have you been? You went on vacation not that long ago, right?
Yeah, I went to Arizona last month. It was pretty fun. Just did some hiking and some stuff that I like to do outdoors, nature-y stuff, just get away. That's usually one vacation I do a year. I like to get away from pretty much everything and just relax and do some, I don't know, spiritual energy healing, whatever. Just relieve some stress. And then I do another vacation that's usually kind of like a lot of hustle and seeing things and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
But I did hit up I was near Phoenix for a while, so I did go to I was going to go to a lot of card shops. I ended up in more comic book shops than I did card shops. It seemed like the card shops that I did find had good selection, mainly wax and things like that, but big time showcases full of Kyler Murray stuff, Devin Booker stuff, DeAndre Ayton stuff. I couldn't figure out why in Phoenix they would be selling nothing but Kyler Murrays and Devin Bookers, but that's what they had showcases full of.
Actually, I don't want to spoil tomorrow's video, but I picked up a nice Devin Booker that I'm going to show in one of my videos tomorrow. But yeah, no, weirdly, I'm not a Suns fan, but I'm really pulling for the Suns. I don't, maybe it's just because it's a young team, underdog team that never really does anything. I'd like to see them do something. Hold on, I'm going to go down the line here. Yeah. What's up, Ziggy? How's it going? David Hunter. I love podcasts. Thanks for being consistent. Michael Ham in the house.
Ham.
Alex, what's up, brother? How's Australia? I hope everything is good over on that side of the world. And I agree, Bobby. Give it a week or 10 days or something. It'll kind of even out a little bit. I think my daughter thought I was trying to be trendy. She thought I was like a soccer player. Like I'm trying to be like, trying to be like Ronaldo or something.
It is a little Lionel Messi. If you look at it.
You know what it kind of reminds me of is 1995. Like all the kids that skateboarded, they had like long hair. It is like the same haircut, really.
Yeah.
It was like long over the side, and then it was shaved all the way out.
But it would come down in your eyes, and you have to keep flipping it back.
Exactly. It was like kind of like the Bieber haircut, but then it was like shaved all the way around, and that was like the skater cut with like your Massimo, your Stussy, your Vans,
Jimmy all that Z, stuff. Airwalk.
Hockey 99. How's it going, man? Business 124. More like Jamie Vardy. Bobby's got the same haircut as Steve. That's trendy too. It's a popular cut.
Hey man, stone cold.
Brian,
I save on hair care product, but I spend more money on razors than I do anything.
what's up? Andrew, sorry I missed you guys. All right, I think. Oh, my homeboy, thoughts on Deshaun Watson? He's already getting into questions. All right. Guys, we really don't have much of an agenda, so we will kind of dig into chat. And I know that I think Steve put in like seven hours last night on his own on his own stream. So it's probably some of it's probably gonna be a little bit,
Yeah, the vocal cords.
Do you have fresh content for tonight, Steve? All new views?
Well, you and I haven't talked. Well, we talk pretty much daily, but limited in text. What you can say in messages. You can never really have a full good conversation, and you can never really tell how to take somebody via text. Something could come off a certain way. So discussion is always best, and just stuff that we're into. It's impossible for me to, I like to keep you up to date on what I'm doing, and vice versa. But it's impossible. Everything, I'm into some comic books, but not necessarily what titles, because it's just too much to talk about. I bought 5 football cards of the same player today, just on a whim, on a little gamble, a little speculation. I haven't talked to you about yet, and it's nothing major, nothing big time, and I'm probably wasting my money, but it's a gamble speculation that I'm taking, just because of price points, and I'm doing everything with everything. The cards, the Marvel cards. I have 3 left from that entire submission that I sent. Those Marvel cards that I got back from SGC, and SGC slabs just flew. Like, people bought those up like crazy because it's a niche market, and it doesn't matter what slab you put on the market because there's no slab competition. It's not like the Marvel cards I was selling you could get in PSA, so people were buying them in SGC.
Yeah, I've actually bought, so I've been buying Tom Brady cards, and I did a video on that recently. I bought a few. I probably bought 4 of the cards I bought of Brady's were SGC 10s. Mm-hmm. And it was just like such a deep discount off of like a PSA 10. I'm like, why the heck wouldn't I get this? Even though it's SGC, it's like, it's probably in great shape if it's an SGC 10, and I'm not going to like crack it and resubmit or whatever. But I mean, if it's like a numbered card and it's in an SGC 10, I know it's in good shape then. I know it would, like if I'm holding that for a while, I'm not really that worried about it.
Right. I bought an HGA slab for the first time last night, so I'll actually get to see what they're like. I'll do a video on that just to give my opinion on the slab, because I've never given my opinion on HGA because I can't give it an honest opinion because I haven't been able to submit through them. I've tried, so I can't give my honest opinion. So I actually bought a slab. I wanted a slab for a video intentionally, but I also didn't just want to buy any old card. So I found a player that I'm buying of a card that I would like. And the value that I got on it in comparison to a PSA, I thought was pretty good. It was about the price of a BGS 9.5 and an HGA 9.5. But with that label, I believe my resale, if I pinpoint the right person, if I wanted to resale, because there's not going to be many of this card in HGA, and you might be able to find a specific person looking for this card in an HGA. It was a Zion card. Paid a little bit of money for it, so kind of risky on the player because Zion's risky on the grading company because it's HGA, and just risky on the modern market in general. So it's a gamble. It's a gamble pickup that I made, but sometimes you got to gamble a little bit. I've done well enough to gamble some, so
yeah, I hear you. I'm going to go up to one question that was, let's start at the top here. We'll move down, but I do want to address this because Deshaun Watson is such an intriguing, I mean, it looks awful. Like if you just look at kind of, what the news is showing, it looks bad. What are your thoughts on this? And I don't own any Deshaun Watson cards, so I don't have any skin in the game, but I actually have one on my watch list that is crazy low right now. And I'm just watching it kind of like what you said, a gamble play that's literally like a graded card that might go for less than $100 or something on this guy. And I was thinking about, hey, why not? Maybe I throw $100 at it and see what happens. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Deshaun Watson stuff?
Well, in this circumstance, I mean, in the circumstance, like you could erase the name out of the equation here, because I'm a firm believer that at the right price point, anything is worth taking a shot at. So like you said, it's worth taking a shot at this card at under a certain price, kind of regardless of who the name is. Believe it or not, I bought 2 Prism rookie cards of Andrew Luck coming into the season for only like $20 because they were already slabbed in a PSA 10 for $20. And, that's $20 that, I probably wasted, but it's $20 that turns into a lot of money if Andrew Luck all of a sudden decides that he wants to play. So, that I even think that deep sometimes because the way that the market is right now, you have to look for something. Deshaun Watson, at the right price point, I guess he falls into that category with anybody. It's, it's a big time situation though, because even if a player like him, even if the situation clears up to an extent, you're going to wonder how the market and how the hobby is going to accept him. Some people already say he's guilty and they hate him, so they'll never accept him back. And then, the hobby's funny when it comes to certain things, even if somebody's a great player. But for the right price point, I would buy Deshaun Watson cards for the right price point because there would be enough buyers out there to resell to. It's just, at what point are you willing to start taking a risk on it?
Another thing that's interesting too is so let's look at like the different scenarios. I guess worst case for Deshaun Watson is he never plays another game of football again.
Right.
That would be like the worst game. That would be the worst case for him. If he gets by it, if he settles out, if he can get out from underneath it, then he's going to get suspended. I can't imagine he wouldn't get suspended. So he's not starting the season. So you could look at like, okay, first, few weeks of the season, no one's going to be paying much attention to Deshaun Watson stuff if he's suspended for 8 games, 10 games, 12 games. So I kind of wonder, like, pricing right now compared to like where would pricing be that first couple of weeks of the season, because it already kind of cools anyway once the season starts. Once you get a couple weeks into the season. So I don't know. That'll be interesting to watch. It'll be fun to kind of go back like in December and look back and see what happened with all that.
Yeah, and that's true. Like you said, I usually try to be out of a majority of my football cards unless I think they're deep playoff contenders by week 6. Usually by week 6, you kind of get a feel of what a team is. And that's when people start moving on their end of the season plays and trying to get out of the speculative plays and the hype plays. So if you're looking at Deshaun Watson missing some sort of time, and even if he's still on Houston, what does Houston have to offer this year? So it's tough from that standpoint. I think most of the value around Deshaun Watson hinges around a move to another team, which we saw. We saw a big boost in his prices on rumors to another team, and then it was killed off by the secondary news, which is now the major news of, all the charges.
What's up, Troy? Good to see you, man. Joel, I think this is correct. You have a lot of these vets. You've got Durant, you've got, LeBron, and I'm not saying these guys aren't hurt because I think they are kind of banged up, but they're not in any sort of a rush to get there. As long as their team makes the playoffs, I think that they're probably fine. Same with AD. Those guys will probably come back the week before the playoffs start, get a few games in, get a little bit of, NBA conditioning, NBA game conditioning in, I would assume. And then, and then they're back. And I think the playoffs are going to be really fun to watch. Oh, my guy, Jamal Murray went down with a torn ACL. Anyone that watches my stuff, that I'm in on Jamal Murray.
Yeah, that's the first person I thought of.
That's a risk we take with sports card investing, my friends. I don't have a tremendous amount of money in Jamal Murray, and he's one of the guys that I like over years. I like him over time, so no big deal. But yeah, I feel bad for him. That was a tough break, and also just because I wanted to see the Nuggets do some good things in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I like them as a young team. I'm not like a massive Nuggets fan, but I would like to see them do well.
Yeah, agree. I like the Nuggets also. They were in the I think a lot of people forget they were in the Western Conference Finals last year.
Yeah,
and I think they were a better team this year, especially with the addition of Aaron Gordon coming in there. Michael Porter Jr. is playing better, and But, what does this do as far as your investing going forward? I don't think it affects Jokic. I think the team will still be good enough. I believe for people who believe in Jamal Murray long term, like yourself, it gives you an opportunity to get in even more if that's something you plan on doing. And then
Sure.
players like Michael Porter Jr., now you're probably looking at increased output and more hype around him. So anybody holding him or looking to get in on him should probably make a move. So there's multiple spins, and you can spin it. I like to try to spin everything positive, rather than say, oh no, Jamal Murray's hurt, his market's going to boom, rather than or crash. Rather than say it's going to crash, I'm going to say, hey, it's just an opportunity now. If you weren't in on him and you liked him, or if you did like him, you can even get in on him more at a good price because he's young. The team's good. The team's young. And, injuries happen. It's just part of the game, and people recover from them.
I agree. I would be more concerned if it was an Achilles, but just being an ACL is fairly common these days to come back from. I think he will be fine. And that's actually a really excellent point. I mean, because I do like him kind of within a 5-year window.
Yeah.
I'll have my eye out for, some of those numbered select rookies or, some of the more rare stuff, some of the colored stuff. I'm paying attention to that stuff over the next few months, especially after the season ends, when it already kind of dips a little bit after the finals or during the finals or whatever, when all the other teams are out. So I'll be looking at it. Dustin, how is doubling down on Top Shot? Saw your vid the other week. I love podcasts. So we're going to see. I'm either going to be a genius on this thing or I'm going to lose. So I bought 8 moments this week. There will be a video on that tomorrow. Like we say, we put out a video every 9 minutes. So we just keep them turning. I'm kidding, not every 9 minutes, but so I'll have a video out tomorrow on that. But and really what that video is going to be talking about the 8 moments that I bought, why I bought them, and thought process and all that. So tune in for that one. Let me know if you think I'm nuts, or whatever, but that's okay. I look, Top Shot's not for everybody. I'm not trying to convince anybody on Top Shot. Either you like it or you don't, no big deal. No sweat for me either way.
Yeah, I can't wait for that video because I want to see, because honestly, right now, I don't have any idea what I want to do with Top Shot. I haven't been buying or selling. I've just kind of been in a holding pattern. And, I'm not selling, so I'm hoping for a bounce back, but I'm also not buying because I don't know if the bounce back is going to happen. So
right.
I'm just kind of like sitting right there in the middle and being like, man, I don't know. I accidentally and luckily stumbled into what I stumbled into to begin with. When I got into it, it wasn't like it was, I'm going hard at Top Shot as an investment. I got lucky, man. I'll be the first person to tell you that. I'm not going to claim I knew it. I knew NFTs were going to go. No, I just got into that lucky, listened to some friends that helped me out, made some purchases, made some sales, did really well. And that was luck. And a lot of times being lucky is better than being good, especially in this case for myself.
Yeah, Chris, Vegas Fine 777. He was the one that introduced me to it, and he was the one that, and I remember thinking too, like, I don't know if I like the first time I looked at it, I was like, I don't really know if I like this. And then I just kind of got into it. I got interested in it. And that was before prices went nuts. I owned a lot of moments before prices went crazy. I was enjoying just collecting them. Yeah. But anyway, I know a lot of the audience isn't here for Top Shot, so I'll move on. I feel like, Doug, this is a good point right here. You should diversify your slabs if you're a long-term hold on a guy, right? PSA might not be top dog in 3 years. I do think that PSA will still be top dog, but I do agree that there's so many. There is, to me, I feel like there's an arbitrage. Steve, you can chime in too on this, but BGS and SGC slabs are sometimes at a really deep discount. And I'll look at, subgrades are important, but the SGC 10s in comparison to the PSA 9s and 10s are just sometimes they're wildly lower. and same with some of the BGS stuff, so I'm happy buying BGS and SGC stuff. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. For value, I mean, if I can find a great value, I buy SGC slabs. I submit to SGC on certain items that I think I can liquidate. And it's all about value to me. The slab, PSA is worth more, but you're paying more. I mean, you might sell it for more, but you're in for more. If you buy an SG slab, you may sell it for less, but you're probably also in for less. So the percentages, as far as when you buy in comparison to what you're buying for and selling for, the percentages are pretty much the same. You may be selling a SGC slab for 40% less, than a PSA slab, but you're buying it for that much less as well when you first come in. So it's all about your budget and what you want to go with. Maybe a little less liquid, but I do remember the days of BGS being king.
Yeah,
I was around for that, and I remember the days of SGC in the old slabs when, if you were a vintage collector, and even a lot more so now, vintage really trusted their cards to SGC because of the integrity of the grade. I'm a firm believer myself that SGC 10s is at a solid grade as you can get.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why a lot of the vintage collectors prefer SGC, because the vintage people are very into that buy the grade and not, or buy the card and not the grade.
Right.
You know, people say that cliche now, but a lot flippers don't really believe in that, because the 10 is what's going to make them the money. Even with me, if I'm buying ultra modern basketball, I'm selling and buying the grade, not the card. But if I'm buying a card for myself, or an old card that I plan on putting away, that's a little bit different. And that's why you see SGC values up there on older items, because hardcore collectors know that these grades are legit.
Yeah, guys, I asked for a 3 on the sides, and she just went straight up. It was a new barber, and yeah, I mean, I don't think it said 15 years plus experience on her business card. So, but maybe it was the first men's cut. Anyway, you know what? To me, honestly, I don't have to go back.
There's nothing wrong with it. It looks all right. I saw your first video. I was like, man, Dustin got tightened right up, man. It looks pretty good.
Here's the deal. I'm about to turn 40, and I'm just trying to look younger. So I'm going with these trendy haircuts. I'm trying to look like Messi or Ronaldo or these soccer guys. Hey, shameless plug. I'm 6 subscribers away from 10,000 subscribers. I just checked it. So I know that a lot of you guys are like, I'm not subscribing to this full. If you could just do it for tonight, just so I can get over that. You can unsubscribe in the morning, but just so I can get that nice feeling tonight, that would be great.
I was going to ask you.
What's that?
I was going to ask you, because I saw 999, on your channel heading. It said 9.99, and I'm like, how close is he? He's got to get there tonight with me. Let's go, you guys.
It's right. It's right
if you're here, if I have 4 subscribers here that are only here for me, there's probably only 4 people here for me. But you 4 hit the button for Dustin, or however many he needs.
And Brad, if you're watching, if you can sign into all your extra accounts, all of your fake accounts, that would be great.
If you let me borrow 500, I'll get the 4,000.
Oh, another shameless plug. I am a new Market Movers affiliate, and I've got my link in the description of this video. So I'm all over the place, guys. We're coming heavy. We are coming heavy. All right, here, let's go back to some of these. Will you do Topps NFTs from Ziggy? You know what? Here's the thing, and Ziggy talked about it too on his channel. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so interesting to see what happens with those, because that's going to be kind of the big test, like Topps sticking their toe in the water to see kind of, are they going to have a Top Shot moment, with some of this stuff. I mean, and look, here's the thing too, is I think there's a lot of baseball card people. I'm not into baseball. That's my issue with this. So I'm not going to get into it. But I mean, there's probably a lot of young people, especially, that are into, I don't know, the baseball video games and all this stuff, or maybe this crosses over to other things. So yeah, I think that it's going to do well. My overall, like, my gut tells me it's going to do well. I'm not going to be in on it, but it's just because I'm not really a baseball fan. How do you feel about it, Steve?
For myself, yeah, I don't go with the baseball that much. Also, yeah, I guess it's going to be on an NFT token, so it's not going to be like the Bunt project or whatever it was that they had. But still, it's still a card where the Top Shot is not necessarily a card. It's more of a moving moment. It's a little bit more to it than just the visual of a card. And I mean, it's not really personally for me, and I'm not even super strong in a Top Shot, like I said. One thing that I think that the Top Shot has going for it that a lot of people don't mention is how global it can be, because a lot of people overseas and in other countries and Far East and things like that don't have access to cards, period. So the closest thing they can get to a card is a digital card or an NFT or something like that. That's the closest thing they can get. They don't have tangibles. The digitals is really their option. And you can see it with a lot of the content creators and stuff for Top Shot. they're from different countries and things like that. And it's almost a whole new market, abroad. I don't think baseball will touch that market because it's not basketball. NBA touches those other markets. So again, I think, I think the ceiling on something like Topps is a little more limited than it is on something that's licensed by the NBA because it's baseball, because it's Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, and they're releasing a lot of packs. I mean, it's like 50. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was like 50,000 packs for $5, and then there was another like I don't know $10,000 packs at $100 or something with more like limited stuff in it. I'm assuming. So yeah, I mean I'm watching really closely to see how that goes. It'll be pretty cool to watch. All right, Carson talking about Donovan Mitchell. I've been hearing a lot of Donovan Mitchell talk. Actually, you know what? I saw him in the chat earlier. I missed his comment. I think it was Northeast Ohio Sportscards was talking about Donovan Mitchell, I believe, on his channel as well. I don't own much. I think I might have 2 cards of Donovan Mitchell, but I can see how people would be high on him. I mean, just with the Jazz are kind of just no one's talking about him. They're the 1 seed in the West. Nobody cares. What are your thoughts on Donovan Mitchell?
Utah, in my opinion, can't beat any of the other top 3 teams in the West in a 4-game series or a 7-game series. They can't take a best of 4 from anybody, I don't think. They're a good team that beats individual teams on any given night. But as far to put together 4 wins against one of those other teams, I just don't think they have the depth to do it. You can go out on a night and have a big night and beat a good team, but to do it consistently, that's why the best teams always win in the end. Donovan Mitchell puts up a lot of points, doesn't have a lot of help. Rudy Gobert plays good defense, but if Donovan Mitchell has an off night, the Jazz are going to lose. And how do you shut somebody down? You double team them, you put your best defender on them, and then you let your other players win. And I think teams that have more depth are going to be the teams that beat them because that's what they'll do. You put somebody like Kawhi Leonard on Donovan Mitchell.
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say the Clippers would be a tough matchup for the Jazz in a 7-game series.
So, yeah, they're winning a lot. Their record looks great, but the Bucks' record looked great last year. And we saw what happened when they got into the playoffs with Giannis. It was pretty much shut down Giannis, and you beat the Bucks. It's pretty much shut down Donovan Mitchell, and you beat the Jazz. So, yeah, you're going to win a lot of regular season games, but people are going to game for a series. They're going to plan for you in a series when it comes playoff time. No knock on Mitchell's talent. He's a great player. And Utah itself is just not an exciting team for some reason. The city doesn't seem to, get hyped up around them. The market itself, market hurts their value too. Donovan Mitchell on another team in a big city, in a big market, that's a different story. But we're talking about him flying under the radar, and that's because he plays for the Jazz. That's my personal opinion on him. As a player, he's awesome. He's great, scores a lot of points. But you have to do more than that, because there's a lot of big scorers out there, and you have to do more than that, when it's all said and done. And I just don't see it, not this year with the Jazz. They need another piece.
Fair enough. Neo was talking about comic books. Let's shift over to that. So we're on. So I was buying a lot of graded comic books 3 years ago, and part of the reason why I got into sports cards because it was just more volatile than comic books. Even with kind of the movie news and the show news and all that stuff, this was pre-pandemic where there was a lot of that stuff going on where you're kind of speculating on, this new villain's going to come out. There's going to be this, new series coming out. Mm-hmm. It was still fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it a lot. It's just, but then when I saw with sports cards, just kind of the volatility was a lot more. So I got into kind of both there. Took a break from comic books over the last probably 18 months or so. And I actually have been selling off comic books over the last 3 weeks or so, just to kind of take advantage of some of the gains. Where are you at with it?
For me, comic books, I'm in on comic books right now just as hard as I am on cards because I see the market. When I first got back into flipping cards, I see the similarities there with comic books where you didn't have a whole lot of people grading. The grading companies weren't backed up. The biggest flip potential was always in buying raw and getting graded and flipping, which has kind of been erased. However, That's just now starting in comics. So if you know what to buy, you got to know what you're looking for. And, you got to know what a good, great comic book looks like. It's different than looking at a baseball card. But if you can find key issues or even speculative books, just like speculating on a player. So you got key issues, which is like buying your established players. Okay. And then you have speculative books that are like buying your rookies and your speculative players. And then you buy them, you send them in, you get them graded. And then it's just like the card market. But you got to do your research. You got to know what you're looking for. And just like in sports, being popular by being a good player or getting yourself noticed whether whatever market you're in, winning a championship, this, that, and the other things that put you in the spotlight is what makes you popular in cards. And it's the same thing if you get put in the spotlight, like a TV series or a movie or something with comic books. So you're trying to kind of speculate what's going to happen in these storylines because Disney Plus is going to run everything. Eventually, everybody's going to be on television from the MCU. And, it's going to give you buying and selling windows based around popularity where stuff gets popular, goes down, comes back up. Like, the Carnage movie that's coming out this summer, and everybody's talking about buying Amazing Spider-Man 361 because that's the first appearance of Carnage. So people are buying that book as a speculative book, and that book is going up a lot in value just based around the fact that he's going to be in a movie. So who else is going to be in a movie in maybe a year? And you watch, I don't know if you watch all the Marvel shows, like right now they have the Falcon and Winter Soldier show going on, and everybody's trying to speculate on who is the power broker, who's the enemy, what's going to happen after this series, what's going to happen after WandaVision, what is that leading into? And they're trying to buy the books, and be ahead of the curve so they can sell into the hype when hopefully they pick the right villain or whatever in the certain books. I have a lot of books. It's super fun. And it's a lot more safe, I believe, because these comic books, they have story. I mean, literally, there's story and history and Marvel. And when you're holding an old comic book, to me, like this is an old Doctor Strange book. This is an old Doctor Strange book. I like this book so much because I like Doctor Strange, and I bought this raw. When I bought this raw when I was on vacation in Phoenix, and I was only backpacking in Phoenix. I was hiking and stuff, so I had to have the comic book shop mail it to my house. After I bought it from the shop, I was like, can you package this up and mail it to me? But I got that book. And this one was a little beat up. It's probably like maybe a 4 or a 5 in grade. But I liked it so much that I went and bought an 8.5.
That is hilarious. How much did you pay for it, if you don't mind me asking?
This 8.5 was, I think, like $6.50.
Okay, I bought and sold that exact same book. I bought it for less and then sold it for less like a year ago or something. That's a great book.
Yeah, because this is the first Doctor Strange title.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah, up until this book, it was Strange Tales. And then instead of starting a whole new comic book series and calling it Doctor Strange, they just changed the name of Strange Tales to Doctor Strange. So this is the first title Doctor Strange book. They did later put out a Doctor Strange #1 and started another comic book series, but the original first title Doctor Strange book is this one.
I just sold a Tales of Suspense number 48, and it's the first Iron Man suit, the gold and red suit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first appearance of him in that suit, and I feel like I'm going to regret that one. It was CGC 6.5, but I
just picked up Invincible Iron Man #2. Now, there's not a whole lot of significance behind it other than it's just a really early issue of Invincible, and that's after he got out of Tales to Astonish or whatever, and they finally give him a title. Invincible Iron Man #2, but this was from a guy who had a bunch of Silver Age comic books that were in condition like I've never seen before. So I was like, I bought it for $50. And I was like, I'll buy that for $50 and grade it out in a slab at a nice grade. That's a nice comic book.
Michael, I'm showing 9,999. So you know what happened? I bet I got to 10 and then Brad unsubscribed because he does that all the time. Brad probably
didn't update as quickly.
Let's see what else we got in here.
I see Troy Peterson has asked how many comic graders are there. I know of two. The main one is CGC, which is also CSG, who's grading cards now.
Right.
And CGC is like the most respected. I think there's also another one. It's like CBCS or something like that. And they would just be like your BGS or your SGC of it also, where they do hold value and they are respected, even and by some and with some they're their favorites, just like SGC and BGS. So, and it's right now, I believe it's like $27 to get a book graded, expedited. I mean, that's pretty cheap when you're looking at card grading fees to get it back within a decent amount of time. And, right now, that's why I say opportunity, because right now, if you're into cards, you got a lot of, and you're grading, you got a lot of money tied up. And in comic books right now, you don't have to tie your money up as long.
Yeah, and the pop reports, the census reports are a lot lower than cards.
Yeah, census reports are a lot lower because, the way you look at it is really the only people getting comic books graded were collectors. People were like, oh, I love this book, like me with this Doctor Strange book. I literally do like this book. This was not, even though this is a key issue, this is not like a buy and sell for me. This was a book that I like. That's why I have it raw, so I can look at it, and that's why I have it slabbed, so I can display it.
One thing that's really interesting in comics that's different than cards that I've noticed, and maybe this has changed because I've been a little bit out of the comic game for a little bit as far as buying, but people are actually okay with pressing comics.
Yes.
Like if you get a book that's got maybe some wrinkles or whatever, it's not, the cover's not great. It's okay to press it, to pay to press it to get a better grade, and it's not considered altered. Now, if you go in and if you color in spots, or if you're, if you're doing that, then that's considered restored. But pressing is it's somewhat controversial in comics, or it was, but it's also kind of accepted, which is kind of interesting because if you alter a card, people are going to be upset about it in any way, Yeah,
if you fix like a tear or something like that, then it's going to get a qualifier on it, just like a card is going to get, like an OC or a ST for a stain or something like that. However, you can clean and press, where if a lot of your, if you get like finger stains or oil stains or something on a white cover or something, there's chemicals that can clean that out. And you can also press. And there's people that professionally do it for approximately like $20 a book. And a lot of times people who actually submit comics, like group submitters or people that will submit for you, they will clean and press your comics for a fee as well as submit them for you also, which is, for someone like me, is the best way to go, because I'm not very experienced at submitting comics for grading yet. But, the market's moving on them. I bought this when I was on vacation. I showed this last night. Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1. And I said that it has a character named Thrawn in it, who is like the new leader of the Empire.
Right.
This is his first appearance. I bought this speculating that he was going to be in the next Disney Plus series, and I paid $1,000 for this book. They announced him. They made the announcement that he was going to be the key antagonist in the Akashano series coming up. And,
I thought he was going to be in the Mandalorian coming up too. Like there was.
Well, yeah, they're going to incorporate him into the whole storyline. Yeah. And this book doubled after that announcement. So it's $2K now. So I bought it when I was in Arizona in my Airbnb when I was on vacation, and I got it, and a little bit over a month later, it's 2x for me. So
wow.
Yeah, it's.
Are you selling or are you holding?
I'm holding right now because the comic book. You can go to the comic book store and they won't even sell you this book. Like they'll have them out, they'll have them and they'll be like, no, we're not selling our Heir to the Empires right now, because they know that a month from now, or when it actually happens on the television show, this is probably a 4 or 5K book. So I couldn't even find one. Like you can't even. People don't hardly even list them on eBay right now because they know it's a hold, and there's not a lot in the census.
Yeah. One thing I will say about this, Troy, is I've seen kind of different interviews with Nat Turner, and not that he said comics specifically, but I did see a quote that he was talking about kind of overarching collectibles, being more involved in, and it sounded like he wanted to be more involved with all things collectibles. Maybe not all things, but I wouldn't be shocked if they got into comic book grading. If there was, obviously it's profitable. If it's profitable for them, I could see that. I think that PSA I think they've got ambitions to be, more than just sports cards and non-sports, just cards and coins. I think there will be other things as well. Let's see what else we've got here. Yeah, I know. PSA needs to work on the cards. Other
Hey,
Troy. Other
what's
Troy.
funny? CGC, who has CSG grading now, they don't accept Marvel cards yet. How ironic is that? Like,
Which is hilarious.
they take sports cards, but I can't send in my Marvel cards to get them graded.
That is funny.
But there's a lot of books right now that I'm speculating on that I think are good buys that are going to be just like, yeah, you don't have to see them all, but we won't talk about all of them. But I just pulled this one out because you talked about selling this.
That's a nice one. I just sold an 8.0.
Yeah, I wish I had a higher grade. I wish I had at least I wish I had a 9.8, of course. That's the PSA 10, but a 9.6 would even be nice. But I'm happy. I got a 9.4 at a really good price a while back. And because I pulled these out because these were books you were talking about you sold.
I did.
I got a newsstand 9.6.
Yeah, I sold a 9.4 of that. But you know what? The reason why I sold the 8.0 and the 9.4 because I was thinking like I can get an 8.0 back later on. That's not a super rare book.
Right.
I get that one back.
And then I was talking about the Carnage earlier. So I got a 9.6 and a 9.8 on the number 361 first Carnage.
That's really funny. I sold one. Maybe did I sell that to you? Not knowing it. That's funny. David Hunter says that you have one of the most unique looks on YouTube with those glasses. Oh, unique takes. Excuse me.
Unique. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? This is a book that's under the radar right now too. I'll show it to you. Eternals. They're gonna have a movie coming out this year, and two of the key cast members are cast members from Game of Thrones. Kit Harington or whatever his name is, I think that played Jon Snow. He's playing Black Knight, and then the guy who played Robb Stark, who was another super popular character in Game of Thrones, is playing another key character in the Eternals. I think he might be playing Icarus. I'm not 100% sure, but this movie's coming out with those actors in it, and when you have a cast like that crossing into a story that's been out for a while, this book right now, I believe, is. I'm not trying to get people to go out and buy these because, it's a spec on my part, and I'm not into the comics like I am the cards. But when I see prices of some of these other books, and then I see the price of this, and I know what's coming up with the cast, to me, it's like, okay, when that movie hits, people are going to want that book. A lot of times, I'm looking at it like the significance of the actor or actress that you get to play a certain character from a comic book kind of intensifies the importance of that character. If you just get somebody that you've never heard of to play a character, to me, maybe that character is not as important. But when you look at the Avengers and you look at their cast, Shazam has got a new movie coming out, and I talked to you about this today.
Yeah.
Where Black Adam, who's one of the big enemies from Shazam, is rumored to be played by The Rock. So if that's true, you're going to want to be holding Shazam number 28, first modern appearance of Black Adam, because anything that Dwayne Johnson touches right now is gold. So it's like, if he's portraying a villain for the first time on the big screen, people are going to want comic books with that villain in it and first appearances. And that's a book that I'm buying raw right now heavily to get graded, is Shazam number 28, first modern appearance of Black Adam. I bought one raw. Yeah. And I've actually bought one raw that has already been cleaned and pressed, and I'm ready to send in.
One thing that I will say that's similar to sports cards in a way with comic books is be careful not to hold it too long. Like a lot of times you're selling into the excitement. Usually like comic book people sell after the first trailer. I've heard that a lot, where like the excitement of the trailer hits and the movie's going to come out in a couple of months, because once the movie comes out, in most cases, the prices drop like that weekend. It's kind of like when the season starts. It's like when everyone's like, oh, we're all excited about these particular players. Then the season starts, and then it's like that couple of weeks and prices come back down. It's similar with comic books. Not to say that, it also depends on the movie too. The one example where that did not happen is the Black Panther movie. And the reason why is because I don't think there was a lot of kind of hype leading up to that Black Panther movie. And then it hit, it was a massive hit. And so that kind of, I think if it's like an underdog Marvel movie and people aren't really paying attention to it, and then it catches fire, then you can kind of ride that. But it's similar to sports cards, though, to where you're selling into the excitement. You don't want to, because the prices will come down in a lot of cases.
And with the Black Panther, I would say it have a little bit to do with him not being necessarily a household name. When you go around and you talk comic books to somebody that doesn't know comics, and you say, who's Captain America? And they know. And you say, who's Iron Man? And they know. You say, who's Black Panther? You're probably going to get less people know who Black Panther is. But when you see him and then you're introduced to him almost for the first time, for a lot of people were introduced to him on the big screen, not through the comic books. Then it's like bang, boom. So the buildup isn't necessarily as strong. I think with the Carnage comic book right now, the trailer has kind of been released, or like an unofficial trailer showing Woody Harrelson playing Cletus Cassidy, which will be crazy good. It will make the Cletus Cassidy character desirable. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazing Spider-Man 344, which is the first appearance of Cletus Cassidy in human form, is a good book to buy at a bargain if you can't afford the Carnage book. But I think that people don't necessarily know Carnage. He's not a household name. Unless you read Spider-Man or follow Marvel, you don't know who Carnage is. But the first time you see him in the movie and you actually see how badass he is, then you're going to be like, dang, I need that comic book. But some of them, like you're right, they pop off early because people know these names and know these characters already.
Yeah, something that's really fun is just first appearances in general. I remember I had I don't remember which Daredevil book it is, but it was the first appearance of Bullseye, which was a character that I liked, when I was young. But that was one that kind of, and there wasn't a movie or a show with Bullseye, but it just kind of popped off. And I don't know if people were just speculating in that Bullseye, and maybe he was in the series or something, and I just missed it. But another great book too is the first appearance of Sabretooth. It's Iron Fist 14. That's just a cool cover. It's got Sabretooth on it with the Iron Fist character. I mean, and you can get like decent grades for not super expensive. It has gone up recently just because comics have gone up, but those are the types of things that are fun. If you're looking at kind of like villains, that where are their first appearances, and you can kind of play off of that. And like you said, there might be alternate storylines where they're in it, that could be cool to spec.
And the thing with speccing with comic books as opposed to cards, you never know how somebody's career is going to turn out because their legacy and their career isn't written yet. With a comic book, these stories have kind of been written, and now they're being put in the movies. So if you know the comics and you know the stories, you can kind of foreshadow into what's going to happen next if they stay true and canon to the comic books. In my opinion, some of the best books to be buying right now are X-Men, because the X-Men weren't owned by Disney. They haven't crossed into the MCU yet. They have movies out there and they've been popular. But once the X-Men cross in, and they cross them with the Avengers and stuff like that, because you have people out there that are way bigger fans of the X-Men than the Avengers. And once they hit, Disney and the MCU, and they start incorporating their stories for real, is when you're going to start seeing big time moves on X-Men books. I'm speculating into one of the storylines that could completely go away. They may not go this storyline at all, but certain things that I see, I've just bought a book because I feel like there's a way that they can go with a story that's going to make a certain book and a certain character really popular and really desirable. That's Rogue from the X-Men.
Yeah. I had that same book in an 8.5 that you have. That's
so they've already shown Kamala Khan as going to be the next Captain Marvel. And we know that Kamala Khan becomes the next Captain Marvel. That's just the way the story's already been written. But they've already showed the girl that's been cast to play it. So that tells me what's going to that brings up the question, what's going to happen to Captain Marvel, the one that we know right now? They've got to make the transition to Kamala Khan, which means to me, Rogue is going to do what she does in the story and steal Captain Marvel's powers. Somewhere in this storyline during this Avengers X-Men crossover, Rogue is going to steal the powers of Captain Marvel. Kamala Khan is going to become Captain Marvel. Rogue is going to be a big time player in the X-Men story. And that comic book, that Avengers Annual number 10, first appearance of Rogue, is going to be a nice book. I could be way off the map, and that's fine, but that's just me having fun with it and speculating. And that, to me, that's what makes comic books fun.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, I mean, Marvel kind of got a hold of, the X-Men from Paramount. They got a hold of Fantastic Four from Fox when they bought it. And we still haven't seen those cross over into, I mean, they haven't made like Marvel movies, like Avenger style movies with the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Those are going to be awesome. And
Oh
they've
yeah,
got so many storylines to go down. I mean, a lot of people have spec'd on Fantastic Four 48 because of first appearance of Galactus
yeah,
as being the next big bad guy.
yeah,
That's been an expensive book for a while because a lot of people are specking on the Fantastic Four stuff. Silver Surfer #1.
yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah, and like with me with the comics, I would love to have a Fantastic Four first Galactus, first Silver Surfer appearance, or a Silver Surfer first appearance of Mephisto, because he's another
Yeah.
another villain. And the thing is that if it doesn't happen in the movies, if they don't introduce these characters, I don't mind, because I don't mind having these comic book issues, because they're still key issues in the comic book world. It's like saying, okay, LeBron doesn't win the title this year in basketball. Okay, the Lakers don't win the title this year. It's not going to happen. Let's just say that. Do you still mind having LeBron rookies? No, you don't, because they're key in their legacy. Okay, it's the same with some of these comic books. Okay, they may say, surprise everybody, Galactus isn't the next new enemy. We fooled you all. But that's okay, because this is still a key issue of a key character that's got a legacy in the Marvel world.
Oh, and most of them are Silver Age books. They're 60s, 70s,
Yeah.
old books. I mean, they're awesome. I mean, if you're looking at kind of historically these characters, these are 50-year-old books that are, I mean, they're awesome. So yeah, long term, even if you're stuck with them, it's not the end of the world. All right, let's seg over. I know some of you are falling asleep on the comic book stuff. We can reroute back to that, but we're already to an hour almost, Steve.
I think Neo is still into the comics. We could have a good talk with Neo about comics. Neo's on the comic train too. He understands the market and he likes it. He thinks it's fun, like I do. That's cool.
No, absolutely. We should set up do another live with Neo if he wants to jump on. I'm happy to do that. We could do a special comic book version with a little bit of cards mixed in. We can do that sometime. That'd be good. All right. Everyone wants to know about, are you buying PSA 11s when they come out, Steve? the new PSA gold, whatever it is, or, you think that's going to be a thing or not?
Are they talking about upping their label?
I think there was some speculation on it. Was it Ken Golden that might have been talking about it, or hinted? I don't know. I mean, or maybe Nat Turner hinted at something like that. I really don't know. I don't get the feeling that if there's a PSA gold or a PSA 11 that it just makes all the 10s obsolete. I don't think that's the case. I think my guess is that if they have a PSA 11, they'll hand out like 5 of them, period. It will be a really rare thing, kind of like BGS Black Label.
Yeah, exactly. BGS Black Label.
You won't see them all over the place.
I mean, even SGC Gold Label. You got SGC Gold Label. You have BGS Black Label, and I mean, it's hard enough to get a BGS 10 pristine,
right?
Or and then you got a pristine Black Label. I mean, come on. But I don't think it'll devalue the 10s at all, as much as it would just put a certain premium, because those cards will be very few and far between, like you said. So it'll put an enormous premium on a card like that, and more than likely it'll just be the people, employees, and stuff that work at PSA to get those types of grades anyway.
I don't see it being a game-changing thing to where PSA 10s are no longer valuable. I don't see it like that, and I don't think that they would want that either. I don't think that I don't think that would be good for their business. So I don't.
The only way it could do that is if it caused them to water down their PSA 10 grade, and in my opinion, it's already, in comparison to the other grading companies, it already is a bit watered down, because they do allow minor defects on a PSA 10.
Right.
Because they don't have a 9.5. Whether it's a gem or a mint plus, SGC's 9.5 is a mint plus. So that grade is more liberal, because if there is a very, very small flaw or a 60-40 centering on a card, they're not going to 10 it, and PSA is. That's one of my thoughts on why the PSA market stays strong and on why people continue to send to PSA, because it's easier to get a 10. So why not send to the company that has a reputation and is going to also give me 10s?
Right. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right. What else do we have? There was a question here. I think Bush Leaguer's asked this a couple of different times. He wants the answer to this question, and I am not a hockey guy. Is the 1990 hockey rookie class the best class in sports history? Is that Eric Lindros? I'm gonna throw out some names here.
Is Lindros 90 or 91? I can't remember.
Sergei Fedorov. See, I know hockey.
I know guys from back then, but I don't know if they're in. It's Peter Forsberg in that class, or am I a year off? Jeremy Roenick. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
I might be a year off.
Bush Leaguers, throw us some names. Who's in the 1990 hockey rookie class, or maybe this is just a joke and we don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I know the 1990 NFL class.
Yeah.
What? No, that was the old Jeff George #1 pick.
Lindros was 90. Yager was 90. He was pretty
Yager,
good.
Brodeur. So we're looking at the O-Pee-Chee Premier set. So you're probably looking at maybe a guy like Brian Leach, who was a good career player in there. Mark Recchi from the Flyers. But really, unless you're a Flyers fan, you don't remember much about Mark Recchi.
Jeff George, highly underrated quarterback. Sports Card Anonymous called it out. Actually saw Jeff George in an airport once when I was like 9 years old. Fun fact.
He was the first pick of the draft that season, I believe.
Man, he could throw the ball over a mountain. You remember that guy could chuck it.
Most underrated pick and most underrated sports card out there from the 1990 draft class. Well, one, in my opinion, it's a defensive player because, defensive players don't get that much love. But the greatest defensive players do get love. And I believe that people don't put any kind of stock into Junior Seau. Clean player, great player, dominated linebacker when he played, and was just a stand-up man for the NFL. I believe his cards don't get any respect. And I know they're from 1990, but, people just don't talk about him, at all. It's crazy. I know the way that he passed was the way that, was sad and things like that because, he had the concussion syndrome and stuff and people didn't know it. And even more so that should bring him to the forefront. But from 1990, he's a guy that I would invest in for myself personally. If I was looking to buy some players from the early 90s that I thought were super underpriced. I picked up the Shannon Sharp cards because Shannon Sharp only has one rookie card out there. I don't think people know that. He's not, you have a lot of sets in 1990, but only one set produced Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, the 89 score supplemental set.
No, that's Sterling Sharp.
Sterling. I'm thinking of his brother, Sterling.
Yeah, Shannon, the tight end from Denver.
Is it an action-packed rookie?
Yeah, it's a 90.
Yeah.
90 action-packed.
Yeah, action-packed. Nice.
He's a wide receiver on Denver because he was a wide receiver. He was drafted as a wide receiver, converted to a tight end. He was the first, big wide receiver that they could move to play tight end. He was kind of like the prototypical guy that you see now with Shannon Sharp, where they bring in these guys with good hands that are big and they move them to the tight end spot instead of having them play wide out.
I picked up a couple of the Emmitt Smith 91 action-packed rookie update or whatever it was in like a PSA 9. They're about $100 bucks. But what's funny is back in 91, they were probably like $100 raw. I mean, they were expensive. That card was not cheap.
So Sharp was a 7th rounder. Yeah, I think Shannon Sharp was a 7th rounder from like Savannah State or something.
Yeah, he was
completely unheard of.
Bush Leaguers, my go-to for hockey is Jeremy at Sports Cards Live, the YouTube channel. He's a hockey wizard for me, so I always go to him with that stuff. He would be the person to ask. And if you haven't checked out his channel, Sports Cards Live is awesome. He interviews really just everybody that is kind of the who's who of the hobby, as he says it, and that's really facts.
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about hockey either. I own 2 hockey cards, a Lemieux 85 tops, 8.5.
Yeah, I want that card.
And I have a jersey, an RPA, jersey patch auto of Alexander Ovechkin and a 9.5 BGS. 9 auto. The auto is tough because the auto is actually on the patch. So they grade it tough. That's all I own in hockey, and that Ovechkin just kind of fell in my lap.
Let's check the 10. Let's see the 10,000 sub watch.
It better be there.
I actually went down one. I was at 99.
There's no way.
I'm at 98. I'm at 90. I need 2 more, guys. If you can just get on your your aunts, uncles, family members, just open a quick Gmail account if that's what it takes.
Mom, if you're watching, Mom, I know you're watching.
Yeah.
Mom, I know you're watching. Hit the subscribe for Dustin.
Steve.
She already has. I know she already has. She told me, my mom actually said she took a nap this afternoon so that she could watch us tonight and stay up.
Can you have your brother subscribe if he hasn't already?
I'm pretty sure he has.
Oh, man. Actually, this is a really good question from Neo. If modern NBA market doesn't bounce back during the playoffs, is that the beginning of the end? I kind of think everybody is holding their breath right now on modern NBA. And not that I think it's going to just like drop down to nothing, but I guess, is it just going to go back to what it was 18 months ago? Because it's not like basketball cards were nothing 18 months ago. They were still being bought and sold and whatever. But obviously 12 months ago is when we got into, pandemics, and everything kind of went nuts. Are we going back to more of kind of what it used to be? Or is it, just kind of in a lull and then it's going to come back? Thoughts, Steve?
So the beginning of the end of the NBA market or the card market?
Oh, I thought he meant the NBA market.
Yeah. I'm not sure what he means. So I guess I'll try to answer it from both ends.
Yeah.
Well, we're seeing the football market surge. So we're seeing prices of football cards go up. Is that why basketball isn't going up? Because one thing that I would like to think is, the money always moves markets every year, moves around. It's moving into the NFL earlier this year. The off season is getting shorter every year. Nobody wants to miss out. And people don't want to wait for the NBA playoffs to end to buy their football cards. They want to get them now because they want to save money. They want a, bigger return on investment. And that money that they would normally be spending on their NBA playoff players, I believe they're already buying their football cards with. Now, once people get set into their NFL investments, they're going to circle the wagons back around and be like, okay, it's NBA time. However, I don't think it's going to be as big across the board, and I don't think it ever should have been. I believe there was lots of cards and lots of players that were just overvalued, and that's just it. They were just overvalued.
Let me also say too, let me squeeze this point into finish your thoughts, Steve, but this is also the same problem that happened with NBA Top Shot, because what happened was you had literally every player on the platform that was expensive. And we all know in cards, that's not how it works either. It's not, it's not every player is going to be worth all this money, and that's exactly what happened with Top Shot. You do have the LeBrons and the Lucas that have come down in price, but really what's bottomed out is the role playing guys and the guys that are sitting the bench that happen to have a Top Shot moment that used to be $50 and are now $2. So anyway, but go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah. And if you look, a lot of the market is down, but if you look at your key players, they're not down. Jokic is up. He's an MVP candidate. He's on a playoff team. He's up. Okay, Joel Embiid, he's up. Trae Young is down, but he's down because he was so far up that he had to come down because he didn't do anything to warrant those up arrows. Zion is up, and he's not even playing on a very good team, but he's up because he's just blowing it up every night. And his cards are going up. It's generating enough hype for him to hold market values. Ja Morant is down because he came out so hot because he scored 45 points like night 2, and then he was injured, and he's been back and forth. Memphis has got questions. He's down. People are up and people are down, in my opinion, for the right reasons. People always gained card value because they were playing well, and we're seeing the really good top 5 to top 10 players increase in value and not decrease in value. They're at least holding steady or increasing. Also, to touch back on Top Shot, we would be foolish to believe that some of the NBA card market money did not go into Top Shot from some of these investors. Okay. I'm firsthand experience. I've spent money on Top Shot and I spend money on NBA basketball cards. So whatever I spent on Top Shot this year, I wasn't spending on NBA cards. And that's just me. I'm just a small fish.
And does Topps baseball NFTs, does that affect the baseball card market? We'll see what happens, but if they sell 50,000 packs, that's all money that could have gone to baseball cards. And maybe it is a totally different audience that's buying those NFTs versus baseball cards, but there's probably some crossover. We have to assume there's some crossover. We just don't know what that percentage is. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be, wild to watch it. And then also, is it like, is the new market going to be kind of where it kind of, leading up to the season, you've got kind of this upward trend, and then you have more of kind of that downward trend, that more like instead of having the in-season ups and downs with a lot of stuff, is it going to just be more kind of like up, getting excited for the season starts, coming back down, like more of like a 6-month trend, as opposed to, the jagged trends that we've seen?
One other real quick thought is coming into this year's NBA playoffs is there's a lot of uncertainty around the teams. Like, okay, everybody wants to buy who they think is going to win an NBA championship this year. That's just the way that it is. You want to put your money into who's going to win the championship. And right now there's a lot of uncertainty because everybody thinks the Lakers are the best team in the West when healthy. But are they going to be healthy? Same with the Nets. People say the Nets should run away with the East now because of the team that they have. However, they've been in and out of the lineup all year. Which Nets team are we going to get? Which Lakers team are we going to get? If we know that we're getting a healthy Davis and LeBron, then more than likely you're going to see LeBron and Davis cards. And Davis cards have held really strong through his entire injury because people are waiting for his return. And however, if we find out that Anthony Davis, his injury is more serious than it is, people are going to start putting money into players on the Nuggets and players on the Clippers because it's going to be a realistic fact or realistic thought that they can win the West. But as long as the thoughts of the Lakers are going to be healthy is there, it's going to push people off of certain players, just like in the East. If Kyrie, Harden, and Durant are all healthy, people are going to be buying Durant cards, and that's what you've seen. However, if there starts to be some doubt, you're going to see people start pushing their money back into players like Giannis and who they pulled out of. People have pulled out of Giannis because they don't have faith in the Bucks. Do they not have faith in the Bucks, or is it that they're just really strong believers in the Nets? So with a lot of uncertainty around teams and health like this, we didn't see this last year. Mostly everybody came into the playoffs healthy with their full squads. And this year, you're not seeing that right now. You don't know who's going to be ready to go, who's going to be healthy, where they're going to be seated. And that has a lot to do when you're making your decisions on who you're going to invest in going into the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with this take here by ZAA or ZA. New market is smarter. I think just less prospecting maybe going on in the NBA right now, instead of maybe throwing I saw a comment about, throwing huge money on a Darius Garland RPA. Maybe you're not throwing, big money on prospects, and then it's moved more into more established players. And I think it's to each their own. It's kind of like one of those things. It's like if one of those guys turns into the next Giannis, and ends up being an MVP, then you've done great. It's like hindsight's always 20/20 with all of these things. So, and we can't see the future. We don't know. I mean, maybe Darius Garland's the next Michael Jordan. Like, we don't know, So there's no right or wrong answer until we actually get to that point in time. All right.
I mean, to be honest, if we knew everything, it wouldn't be fun. We wouldn't have anything to talk about. We would keep secrets to ourselves, and we would do nothing but make money, And yeah, making money is great, but I'm not. This is not my livelihood. This isn't how I pay my bills. This is my fun, and this is what I do as a hobby. I buy cards, I flip cards, I trade cards, I collect cards, I do everything. The name's Flip and Steve, but I do everything, and I talk, about things that I do, and if we knew everything, we wouldn't be sitting here having these discussions. And that's what makes it great. That's what makes a conversation.
Agreed. Let's see what else we've got here. Market is kind of soft right now for a lot of players. LeBron rookie is at 20,000. Yeah, I guess it kind of goes back to the other question of, is this the beginning of the end? And, I guess that's what we're going to have to find out. Is it going to get another surge, over here kind of heading into the playoffs with the excitement? We'll have to see. Some of the higher end cards have already gone up so much. If you think that 2 years ago, a LeBron Chrome, Topps Chrome PSA 10 was $1,000, if Gary Vee was picking those up at $1,000 3 years ago or whatever it was, 2.5 years ago, and now it's at 20,000, that's still an incredible return. So I don't know. I mean, I think it just kind of depends on.
Even go back to the beginning of this season on that card. That card was 10 to 12 probably, or 8 to 12, anywhere 8 to 12 ballpark coming out of last year's championship win. They won the championship and that card went down. And then coming into this season, like you saw that card sell for $40K, it's still selling for $20K, and you're looking at, man, it's 50% down. It's 50% down from its peak, but it's 50% up from its starting floor come NBA, the 2021 season.
Yeah, I think the big question is what does that new floor look like? Like what is, and I actually heard, I was watching on Jeremy's show, Sportscards Live, Ken Golden was on there. And look, Ken Golden is selling all the, tons of high-end stuff, massive, massive sales. And he actually said too, he was like, look, I wouldn't mind seeing just kind of more of a stagnant year. Like we have a whole year of just kind of like, just like this, on some of these big cards. Of course, everyone likes to see the sky-high sales, but you also don't want so much volatility to where it's, it goes up 1,000%, it goes down 900%. It's back, you want to see kind of a little nice trend there. And so I think that's kind of the hope for the sports card market and really the larger collectibles market is that you do kind of, you might have some of these, spikes here over a year, point of time like we've had over the last 12 months, but that it evens out over time and that you kind of, see a regular market dynamic, which I think is what will happen. Mm-hmm. It's just, will people be interested when it's, 10%, when it's up 10%, and 10, 15% over the course of a year, which is good, but they're used to seeing it double in, a month. Will there be as many people interested? Maybe not. And that's okay. Maybe they'll leave and new people will come in, or maybe they'll turn into collectors or whatever. I think that's all to be seen.
Well, I think the grading companies have a lot to do with it also, because now you can't just buy a $5 or $10 base rookie of, anybody, send it to PSA and then get $50 for it, at a PSA cost of $12 like people were doing. That's why anybody who was anybody was selling for over their value, because people were slabbing them and all of a sudden they were becoming, 10 times worth they should have been worth just because of a slab. And you're not going to see all these obsolete players getting slabbed anymore because it's not going to be worth, the investment, the fees and all that. And it's going to cut back on it's going to trim the fat basically. And what you're going to see is you're going to see the players that we just talked about that are going to still remain desirable and still have a spot in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg, I appreciate that. I wanted to pull this comment up. I don't ever tell anybody what to buy, but with this card in particular, I've made videos about it because this is the one that I feel is the most vulnerable in the Luka world of cards. It's that Luka Prism PSA 10. I bought these, 18 months ago for $70. I bought 4 or 5 of these and sold them kind of on the ride up. The one thing I would say with a card like this that I'm watching for, and the reason why I'm not personally buying these right now, is the 5 million cards of PSA or however many millions of cards of PSA. I would rather just wait and see what that pop report looks like in a year or in 18 months, because I believe there will always be opportunities to get that card. It's not a very rare card. And so right now it's hard to know if that's, it all depends on what you want. That might be a price point that you love, and maybe you just want to collect the card too. Maybe it has nothing to do with flipping or buying and selling. You just want to add it to your collection. Then that's a whole different conversation. But if you're talking about buying it to flip it next week or flip it in 3 months or whatever, then okay, you've got flip a few weeks before an NBA season. For me, I'm just going to sit pat on a lot of the base rookie cards. I'm not going to buy any base. With the way that prices have been coming down, I'm looking at more of the colored stuff. So if there's stuff that was already very expensive over the last year that I was like out of my budget, I'm more paying attention to the colored stuff that might be coming down, or the numbered stuff that might be more kind of, falling down into a budget I can live with. So right now I'm just kind of a hold on a lot of that stuff. Steve, do you have any takes on that?
Yeah, real quick. Well, a card, like to touch on the colored stuff like you're picking up. This is my first Trae Young card that I own, and I picked it up because I thought it was aesthetically appealing. With the tricolor prism from this season actually matches Trae's uniform, And it's not just a base card. Now, it's not the rarest of parallels, but it's not just a base card. And with the market at right now, I was able to get this card cheaper than what a PSA 10 base Prism was selling at coming in to the season. So a PSA 10 base Prism coming into the season was like an $800 card. With the market dipping down, I was able to pick up a card like this, which I believe is a lot better. That's my personal opinion. Looks, rarity, select, premier level, for, I believe, 2/3 of the price. I paid a little over $500 for this. So it wasn't cheap. But in comparison to what this card would have cost me coming into the season, I was like, man, with these prices right now, you can get in on a nice card at the price of what you were paying more for base cards coming in. Now, to touch on the Luka real quick, because that card is always finds its way into the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as when it comes to making any kind of investment, and especially with this card right now, this card has sat stagnant all year. From day one, coming into the season, it was like a $1,200 card. Ballpark, I'm not giving exact numbers, and that's where it's been. And it's not like Luka hasn't played good. Luka has been great. He's probably in the top 5 for MVP. The Mavericks are winning now. Lots of positive, lots and lots of positives. And that card hasn't moved. So what is going to make the card move? Will he win MVP? Will they win the NBA championship? That's kind of the two things that I say will make that card move. And how far will they make that card move? Will an NBA championship make it a $2,000 card again? I don't know about that. $1,600 possibly. Now you're looking at a $1,200 risk for a $400 reward. Now, what are the things that could go bad? Dallas could be eliminated early. Luka could get injured. I don't want to jinx anything, but something like that could happen. We've seen it. He's tweaked his ankles a lot. It happened last year in the playoffs. People could just lose interest, like some people have. Cards have gotten a little bit boring. There's just multiple more factors that I believe that could hurt the value of that card, as opposed that could help the value of that card, especially seeing how that card is just sat at a straight price. Not to mention the pop reports. That's another thing. Pop reports could also drive that card down. I think there's more negatives going for that card in particular. And I'm not talking about Luka as a player, but that card in particular, as opposed to positives, when you're looking at coming in at $1,200 and probably only being able to flip that card on a good day for a $400 profit. That makes any sense.
Yeah, I guess my thing is too, if you really want that card also, I mean, if it was me, I would probably, are the Mavs going to win a championship? Maybe they will. But like Steve said, they might also get knocked out in the first round. And then where are the prices on it then? Where's that Prism PSA 10 sitting then, compared to right now? I assume that there will probably be a lower price to be had. Maybe not. Maybe it won't go down, but if it was me, I would probably just sit and wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and for the same price, you could probably find yourself a comparative Luka, preferably. I'm a select guy, and I'm not the only person. I'm not saying, a big revelation, Steve likes select. Everybody likes select. People who have wisened up to the hobby like select. It's just a nicer looking, better looking, shorter printed product. And if you're looking to get into a Luka, go with a select. I think there's a lot more potential in the premier level, and I believe in the long run there's more potential even in the concourse. And you could get the concourse probably a little bit cheaper than the Prism, and I believe you will limit your risk. However, I believe you'll increase your reward potential.
Fair enough. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up here pretty soon. We're hitting that hour, almost 20-minute mark. I lost track of time. And so we are going to bow out here in a couple of minutes. So throw in if you have any kind of last questions or anything or comments that we can talk about. I see people talking about speculating on I got to hold on. There's a Tom Brady question. I've got to hit the Tom Brady first, but there's a lot of talk about Barry Bonds. So Barry Bonds, let's hit Barry Bonds. I know. Look, K Sports Live. I am buying not necessarily just rookie cards, but numbered cards of Brady that are colored, numbered cards, whether it be Topps Chrome or Prism or I'm looking at all of it. I'm not saying that I'm, just emptying the vault to buy every last Tom Brady card that there is. Not necessarily doing that, but I'm just trying to look and see where I might have some, there might be some value. But look, I'm not selling these anytime soon. I'm going to be holding on to these for a while. Steve actually has a card that I want. I think he was just laughing because he's probably going to go pick through and find.
No, I didn't pull that one out. That one's put away. I have some cards that I don't get out. They're kind of in a box. It's with my Jordan and like my bird and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Steve has got a PSA 10 impact rookie of Brady that he got for like nothing that I want to buy off of him, but he was not going to sell it to me, I don't think.
I'm buying all the TB cards. And in fact, I bought 5 TB cards today, baby. TB. And I'm talking about TB5, all right? TB5, not TB12, but I'm buying TB5 right here. No, I'm just messing with you.
Teddy two gloves.
Yeah, right. TB5. But it's terrible to compare Teddy Bridgewater to Tom Brady. But I've seen some of the Bradys that you've picked up. I saw one on Instagram today. It was like an orange prism or something.
Yeah, I just thought that card was really cool. I spent a good chunk of money on it, but it's it's numbered out of 299. There's just not that many PSA 10s. I think there's 20 of them or something, but there's never going to be more than 299 PSA 10s.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, I like that stuff. And look, for me, my play on that is it's just a long-term deal. I'm looking at it as like in 10, 15, 20 years, I think there's going to be another card cycle. I do think that the market will soften. There will be kind of ups and downs and whatever, but I think that this is going to happen all over again in 15, 20, 25 years when the 13, 14, 15-year-olds are my age, are about to turn, 40, and they're going to go back and say, hey, remember those Prism cards that we could never get and this and that? I think it's going to happen all over again. And that's why I think this is so fun. All right. Let's see what else we have. All right, guys, we are going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it. If you have not subscribed to Flipping Steve's channel, please do so. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, I literally need like one more hold on, where are we at? Oh, we're at 10,000. We're at 10,000.
Be there. We're an hour and 20 minutes in. There's no way you didn't pick up 4 subs tonight. You can't tell me that everybody that watches you is
got there.
Subscribed.
I just got it.
Then you got some loyal listeners. If everyone that's in the chat is subscribing, then they're super loyal. Because when I look at my videos, it's like 50% of the watchers are like unsubscribers, and I'm just like, come on, man.
No, it's the same for me too. It's the same. Yeah. You know what? I think I put out too many videos because they're like, why do I need to subscribe when it already comes up anyway? I think that hurts me. That probably hurts my numbers a little bit, but whatever. Yeah, I don't care. It's just a number. It's just a number.
I figured out it doesn't matter how many videos I put out per week. I get the same amount of views per week. if I put out 3 videos and they each get 1,000 views, if I put out 1 video, it gets 3,000. So it's like, man, what?
I know, it's like a YouTube conspiracy.
It's like people get tired of looking at me every day, so they're just like, I'm not going to watch every video. I'm just going to watch them every now and then. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'll put out 1 a week, and then there's there every now and then.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We will be back again. I'll have Steve back on again in another few weeks, month, like we usually do. So thank you again for hanging with us, and we will see you again next time. Take care.
Thanks, guys.